I do parody videos, in case you didn't know. And sometimes I cajole industry leaders to see if they'll participate. And, you know, they do and don't to different degrees, but also different levels of talent. And, you know, sometimes it's hard to get some of these nerdy executives
to participate.
Yeah, damn right I am. So last year at Cannes, I'm Still Branding, and take a look at the level of cool from this performance. I mean, didn't need any coaching, nailed it in the first
I
day.
appreciate that. That's
you bring like a whole different level of cool.
I need to use that for my kids. They don't think I'm that cool.
You absolutely should. In fact, there was one executive I got in one of my parody videos, and he said, you know, my kids never really had any appreciation for what I do, and now they think I'm cool. So
There we go. That's what you're bringing for us.
I could use that. So, like, you and I go way back, almost 15 years. You were running Grab Media.
Grab Media.
I recall. So you were like a person in the room here just trying to make your way.
I was hustling. Ad tech junkie.
Now you're a big shot at Meta. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
It's, one, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you. This has been wonderful to be able to come back as I was definitely an ad tech junkie for a long time.
Yep.
From Detroit originally. I'm a banker by trade.
We won't hold that against.
I know, exactly. But you know, I got into the ad tech space just out of curiosity after spending a lot of time in media, and it was fantastic. Learned how to raise money and was a first-time CEO. As I love to say, I was enriched by that experience. I didn't get rich. It was fantastic, and I learned a lot. But over the last, this is now 9 years, I've been at Meta, or was Facebook at the time. So a lot of different partnership roles. I did ad tech first there.
Right.
You guys remember maybe some defunct brands, LiveRail, Atlas,
Sure.
the Audience Network, all that good stuff, which was fantastic. And I had a bunch of other partnership roles at the company, business ecosystem partnerships, global partnerships. But over the past year, I took over sales and strategy for the Americas, for US, Canada, and Latin America for Meta.
Go Canada.
Go Canada.
And we've seen tremendous results. Like Meta is one of the best performing stocks, you know, since the doldrums of 22.
It's dark days, man. It was dark days.
Right, and then on top of that, you had Apple ATT, which got imposed on you at the same time. So tech downturn, signal loss. And you guys have been amongst the best performing stocks, I think the best performing stock next to NVIDIA, of major tech platforms in the meantime. What do you ascribe that to?
Well, I think that, one, I think that in many respects we were humbled as a company in terms of like how we actually built our business. I think we also understood that at the end of the day, personalization and privacy just can't be at odds with one another.
Right.
I think it's a really important thing that we actually took at the heart of what we were building. A lot of AI. You know, we're in the middle of this AI journey. This is not the beginning for us. And so, you know, a lot of the personalized choices that you get in your feed into, you know, how our ad system work, it's really about, you know, powered by AI. And along those lines, it really allowed us to be able to understand how best to still deliver a personalized experience, deliver outcomes. I mean, we're in the outcomes business, as all of you are.
Right.
And so we want to be, you know, the best dollar of value that you can deliver across any platform. And if we can showcase the efficacy of conversions on our platform, then it's good for us. And I think that between that and some of the old ad tech stuff, all the API integrations and things of that nature, it really allowed us to be able to deliver and simplify our message in ways that I think have really been helpful. We also did a lot of work in the privacy area. I just think that just cannot be overstated. Being able to understand that personalization and privacy are not at odds with one another, particularly given the fact that, I mean, this year is it's an election year, right? In many respects, the most amount of democratic elections across the world, not just certainly in the U.S., but the investment there has allowed us to make sure that there isn't a difference between what we're delivering from an advertising perspective, but also the consumer experience. Really trying to make sure that we keep trust at the cornerstone of what we're doing.
Right. And we talked about the business model of big tech having lots and lots of advertisers. So when you come out with a product like Advantage Plus, and which really focuses on results, maybe over transparency, you tell me. How do those advertisers, are they totally cool with just getting the answer, or there was a push for transparency,
yeah,
but what's the value proposition?
It's both. I mean, I think at the end of the day, these tools are meant for everyone. Businesses of any size can leverage our Advantage Plus campaigns or our suite of products. In fact,
Right.
most of the advertisers that are on our platform leverage one or many of these tools. And so we certainly have the Advantage Plus shopping campaigns that just deliver a tremendous amount of results. But at the end of the day, it's really about making sure that we're focusing on automation and giving time back to the brand marketers, the advertisers and agencies to be able to save more time on how to transact on our platform. So, everything from, one of the things we actually just launched recently is based on like generative AI and image expansion and things of that nature. So having individuals understand how best to leverage our platform, and then how do you actually save time? So if we ingest a lot of different assets into our system to then allow the machine to do a lot of the work.
Right.
At the end of the day, if you can actually give time back to individuals where you talk about color generation, image expansion, text, all those sort of things that if you think about from an agency world that you spend a tremendous amount of time and energy into, you still have all of the controls in the hands of the marketer and the brand at agencies.
Right.
But being able to actually leverage our platform allows people to actually move quicker and then iterate quicker, and allowing the optimization to actually take flight. So there isn't an odds between transparency and conversions.
Right.
For us, it's really about making sure we're delivering outcomes and then giving that iterative tool to the hands of the individuals that have their hands on keyboards. Well, that's the key.
We talked about in our State of Digital, putting the power of AI and scaled automation behind creative, which is probably the aspect of advertising that drives the most amount of effectiveness, whether the ad works or not.
Correct.
Having that power really brings scale to something that was historically seen as manual.
Correct.
And gives it a lot of power.
So I think that the thing that we've been talking about, and we mentioned this at the New Fronts, is that the new tool that we're actually focusing on right now is creative diversification, and allowing the creative to really find the individual at the appropriate time to then convert where they actually want to see something. So whether the ad is blue or it's yellow or it's red or what have you, and if you actually can take an image, right, of any size, oftentimes you've got creative assets that are set for a particular format or an environment. Can you actually leverage these tools to then allow you to paint on many different canvases leveraging these tools?
Right.
That allows that creative to really make sure you don't change the essence of the message, but sometimes the packaging allows you to elicit a response to an audience that we weren't intending to reach. And so we might have the same sort of demographic and taste, but if you're actually trying to find another individual, some small tweak on that ad without actually changing that message allows you to actually have conversions and allow this to work better for you. So you can actually deliver a better return on ad spend. That's the key. And it's businesses of all sizes. Again, lots of different small advertisers are leveraging this because you really want to make sure that you're able to really level the playing field. Right. That's part of what we actually focus on our platform, is the notion of democratized storytelling and democratized outcomes. So whether you're a large brand that everyone recognizes or you're a small upstart, you do not want cost to be a barrier to entry for all the innovation that we need in this industry.
Well, it does feel like, it's often hard for big companies to innovate. So innovating at scale is a real challenge because inertia, you've got your core business. But it feels like you guys kind of go all in. So you went all in on the metaverse. I made a bunch of jokes at your expense about that.
I remember.
But then demonstrated, said, okay, fine, maybe not. And now it feels like you're going all in on AI, which feels more tangible. Advantage Plus is probably the first of probably many products.
It is, and I think that all kidding aside, I think that the metaverse wasn't just about that one experience. It was also about the future of really platforms, right? And understanding like this is the future of computing. And so AI infused into that. We certainly have made sure that the next version of our Quest 3 is available, and you're infusing into that. We've got our next version of our smart glasses, which individuals are enjoying. But also, too, at the end of the day, it's really about making sure you're moving the industry forward in ways that are interesting. So if you take it back to the practical applications, our Advantage Plus suite of products are fantastic, and we're just trying to continue to build on them. Right now, we're really focusing on delivering conversion. So Advantage Plus, our shop ads, are really the thing that we're focused on most deliberately. And then if you can combine that with some of the business messaging trends that are out there, it's really about conversational commerce. Right. How do you actually decrease the friction associated with a person and communicating with a business? Right. That's the biggest thing that we're focused on. And if you can have AI enable that, I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for small and large businesses.
Well, speaking of that, you have you have a new product that we've taken note of that it's, I think, less heralded in this world, and that's the click-to-messenger product.
Yes.
Which
Great.
it feels like a lot of small businesses are taking advantage of. This is in Instagram and in Facebook Messenger, basically allowing businesses to utilize that as a communications channel and drive their businesses. Tell us a little bit about what that product.
I mean, a lot of this insights has come from the fact that we've owned, WhatsApp for so many years, but we haven't really focused on monetizing. It's really about focusing on the consumer experience. I think that's one of the reasons why we've continued to sort of wait so long for understanding like how do you wrap the business model around a consumer experience. You never want to change how people are leveraging the product. I mean, 3 billion people every month leverage WhatsApp, and in many cases, 600 million people in a day around the world communicate with a particular business leveraging WhatsApp and these communication tools. And so at the end of the day, if you can focus on trying to deliver and again decrease that friction between a person and a business in that communication across the board, we'll see these applications as well. Like when you go get a flight, that's AI powering that machine behind the phone that you're talking to. At the end of the day, if you can actually focus on try to understand how best to decrease that distance between innovation and execution, that's really what click-to-messenger is all about. And it's about this conversational commerce. You're seeing this being very pervasive in Southeast Asia, certainly in Latin America. WhatsApp as a tool isn't as popular in the US yet, but if you think about your friend groups, and as we become more global citizens, you're sort of transitioning from leveraging your SMS messaging to understanding actually how to communicate with WhatsApp for a richer experience. And that also communicates to how ads work. And so it's been fantastic for us. And we're learning a lot. I think that's the key. And when you do have something at scale, it does allow you to innovate, but we're really trying to focus on doing things deliberately that make sense, that are putting the control in the hands of small and medium and large businesses.
My in-laws are all Brazilian, and that's the only way business gets done.
There you go.
Exactly.
It's one of
WhatsApp.
our key markets for sure.
You mentioned about the elections this year. It's a big year for democracy and a big presidential election here. A lot of focus on content moderation, preventing disinformation. What initiatives? I mean, there's a lot of also government scrutiny on the company right now, so I gotta imagine you're very focused on getting that balance right this year.
It is. I think that it's something that we continue to stay focused on. We've got 40,000 people focused on content moderation across the world on our platform. We also participate with a tremendous amount of, I think, industry-wide organizations. So it's not about us grading our homework. We really want to make sure that we're part of a coalition of the willing that would allow us to say, are we actually doing as well as we can in this industry? It's an opportunity for us to really continue to stay, and I think, in a leadership position. I think years ago, the last generation of sort of how we presented ourselves in the marketplace was a little bit of like, well, we're just sort of allowing free speech and sort of allowing that to sort of be the purvey of what's actually appropriate content. Being able to actually have government intervention in many respects and guidance has really been helpful for us. And so again, at the crux of what we're doing, making sure that personalization and privacy are not at odds with one another is how we approach every single problem that we're trying to solve. You really got to make sure that we keep this top of mind for everything that we do. It's just got to be a safe environment for everyone.
But does being a safe environment mean not posting news? Like we've noticed that across all social platforms, there's kind of been this sort of aversion to like even having news on the platform because of all the controversies, as the UK folks would call it. Hopefully that's not good. I mean, where do you stand with respect to sort of news, and where does news fit in? As are advertisers telling you we don't want to be next to news?
Well, I think that news is always going to be something that is important to anyone, any curious person in society. I think that there's a place for that on our platform. The question is that a part of the personalized feed of content that you're actually seeking? I think a lot of this is going to end up being based on, well, what do you click on? What do you like? What do you engage with? A lot of this is going to end up being, again, a personalized experience, but news is always going to have a role to play. I think that the key is making sure that one that's editorialized in a way that actually makes sense. The news industry is extremely important, but you have to make sure that they're fact checkers. And particularly as you're talking about AI, this notion of making sure that even political advertising, we've sort of walked away from some of those things because you do not want to provide any sort of challenges around how people are viewing candidates, issues, topics, and discussions. We do not want to be the purveyor of the truth, but we do want to make sure that we allow for there to be a microphone associated with democratized storytelling. It's a really important thing for us to make sure that we keep at the crux of what.
And are you hearing about those topics from your client advertisers? Are they expressing sensitivity?
I think that there's always going to be sensitivity associated with it, but it isn't something that we feel like we need to shy away from.
Right.
At the end of the day, advertisers vote with their dollar.
Right.
They tell us openly and often aggressively what they like.
Do they?
Yeah,
Do they?
absolutely.
What vehicles of advertiser feedback do you all have?
When we do service, but you also got sales reps. At the end of the day, this is still a relationship business. As much as we're programmatic and there's a tremendous amount of performance marketing that happens on our platform, there's still brand advertising, and brands still matter. They really do matter, and they're brand police. So certainly individuals don't want to be adjacent to content that doesn't make sense. And so the best experiences you can have a wonderful story that's being told, and you've got elegantly placed advertising adjacent to that content, and you deliver an outcome. If you're not delivering that, one, they're going to vote with their dollar, right? And they also will tell you publicly whether or not they believe that your environment is safe. We think that this is not a destination, it's a journey. It's something that we learn every single day. And I think that part of the notion is making sure you're keeping the relationships intact, and also ensuring that the measurement entities that are in this industry still allow us to guide what does excellent actually look like. It's important for us to make sure that we're keeping measurement at the crux of what we're doing. One, we shouldn't be grading our own homework. There should be someone else that's actually doing that. But individual advertisers and agencies definitely vote with their dollar. And if you're not the best value for their dollar, or they don't believe that you're a safe environment, they won't spend. It's just that simple.
Have you noticed, whether it's Meta or the other social platforms, more of a willingness to open up to allow for third-party measurement? You're right, because you can't grade your own homework.
No, 100%. I think that it's the crux of what we need to do. And there's so many different entities, and everybody's got their own flavor, right? There's a tremendous amount of brands, too many to mention, but I think that there needs to continue to be this standard that we look at. And there isn't going to always be one standard, but the continued dialogue and making sure that we're elevating this conversation of what measurement looks like across our platform is interesting. It's not about competing necessarily, but it is making sure that we're understanding, like, what does it actually look like? If you're going to compare, again, a TRP or a GRP from a television to what that actually looks like on our platforms, we're still evaluating outcomes.
Right.
And so how might you compare them? And I think that this is one of the reasons why we believe that there's an opportunity for there to be growth in this industry, is that you've got to have measurement.
We didn't talk about this, but the tremendous success of Reels.
Yes.
It's really driving a ton of viewing. It almost feels like Meta is becoming less of a social network for connecting and more of an entertainment platform in the more sort of lean back, receptive mode.
It's an interesting perspective. I think that one of the things that's interesting for us is that, one, Reels is fueling a tremendous amount of growth, and you're following the consumer. Everybody is interested in seeking to consume sight, sound, and motion content. 60% of the growth on Facebook and Instagram is driven by Reels. It's video, and that's the case for many different platforms. The difference is there's a different experience around what premium means. There's the streaming networks that are providing episodic content and things of that nature.
Yep.
Ours is premium from a different perspective. It's still video snacking in many respects, and so it's clips driven. It's not necessarily the lean back experience. It's something that it's a different experience across the board, but it's meant to be quality. That's the whole point. And I think that certainly YouTube has got a tremendous platform. We certainly understand what the phenomenon of TikTok has done. Reels for us has been a juggernaut for growth, but it's also given us another canvas in which to paint. And so all the different generative AI and AI tools that we've talked about from a static image perspective, we're actually putting that into Reels to allow those to actually work even harder across the board. So if you combine AI with Reels when meeting the consumer where they are, we believe that we can surprise and delight not only consumers, but also advertisers.
So short form video, snackable, but it still feels like an entertainment product. Might we see, presumably you're going to go after some of those TV dollars that are shifting to online. YouTube's already at the upfronts. You guys did a NewFront presentation.
We did.
Might we see you guys at the upfronts in years to come?
Who knows? I think that as we see convergence across the board, there may not be a delineation between the two, but I think they're very, very important. I mean, television is still a huge vehicle. They're certainly big partners of ours. We certainly collaborate and compete, but I think there's an opportunity for individuals to understand that they're consuming content wherever they are. There's this always-on environment, and so it doesn't have to be one or the other. I think that one of the reasons why television has grown as fast as it did is that there was a currency of exchange to be able to deal with. And whether or not you believe in ADUs or TRPs and GRPs, having that system has allowed that to grow to a $67 billion industry. We're looking for something similar in our ecosystem that I think is comparable. And so we're just not there yet. So I think there's an opportunity for growth. There's an opportunity to define it. But you can't do that without participating. So I'm cheering all the folks on this week at the upfronts. We certainly enjoyed our time on stage in the NewFronts, but I think there's an opportunity for this to grow this entire pie bigger.
Well, it sounds like you are headlong into this notion of innovating at scale. Alvin, thank you very much.
Always good to see you.
Awesome.